You're watching Alaska's news source.
Today on the Morning Edition, thousands of demonstrators take to downtown Anchorage, part of a nationwide protest where critics of President Donald Trump take part in what they called No Kings Rallies, the messages they want to get across. From protest to celebration and observance of recognition of history and Black culture as Juneteenth festivities take place ahead of this week's holiday, how those in Anchorage celebrate it. And later, a new high-tech breakthrough out of MIT could change the way centuries-old oil paintings are restored and save a whole lot of time in the process as the Morning Edition starts now. Good Monday morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up with us today. We're coming off of a weekend with beautiful weather, at least Saturday. It was stunning sunshine.
Yeah, we did. We saw plenty of sunshine that extended well back into last week. Those hazy skies have been with us, but you may have noticed yesterday as well as this morning, we are sitting up under mostly cloudy to overcast conditions. This is what we like to call that kind of maritime weather, as we do have some of those winds funneling up Cook Inlet to start off the morning. We saw that yesterday, so that's leading to some of that maritime cloud coverage, particularly out towards parts of the Kenai, where we're expected to see some of that low-level cloud hanging around. In addition to that, we're also still dealing with some hazy conditions across not only South Central, but extending out towards western Alaska, the slope and into the interior. This comes from wildfires in Canada. We're currently at 49 degrees here in Anchorage. Still warm as you head to the north, though. 63 in Fairbanks, 61 in McGrath. Along the slope, those temperatures already beginning to approach 40 degrees. We've got some flooding concerns along the slope, while areas through the interior actually holding on to some of the warmest stretch of weather we've seen so far this season. We've got several areas of low pressure through the Gulf Coast region, out towards the Bering Sea. We've got this ridge of high pressure still with us across the state, although it's shifting. And what this means for us is some of our warmest conditions really beginning to transition into parts of the interior. This is where we've got red flag warnings. We've got heat advisories. We've also got areas along the slope sitting up under that flood warning and flood advisory as those water levels and that snow melt continues to melt as those temperatures continue to rise through the rest of this week. So there's those hazy skies we're talking about across South Central, through the interior and through western Alaska. This will not make it to the surface, so you should not smell any smoky conditions, but you will see those hazy skies. And while we are starting off this morning with mostly cloudy to overcast skies, some late day sunshine will be possible. For Fairbanks, we are tracking those hot conditions, those temperatures once again warming into the mid to upper 80s throughout the afternoon hours. I'll have more on that and a chance for some thunderstorms coming up in my full forecast.
This morning, the Alaska Bureau of Investigation is looking into a deadly officer-involved shooting in Houston. A man identified as 34-year-old Kyle Lambert of Wasilla died after he was shot by troopers Saturday. On Saturday, around 11:30, multiple troopers were searching for Lambert on a felony arrest warrant. When they found him inside a camper, he refused to exit, according to troopers. Police say when the troopers entered the camper, Lambert produced a gun and multiple troopers fired their weapons, killing Lambert. The troopers who fired their weapons are on 7 days of administrative leave. Massive anti-Trump demonstrations held in all 50 states over the weekend. Here in Alaska, the largest protest was held in downtown Anchorage. Justin Madsen shares details.
National policy influencing state politics. Thousands of people in Anchorage take to the street and have marched to downtown Delaney Park, all with one common message: there will be no kings in America. Many issues were represented at Saturday's No Kings protest. The top-of-mind issue, the crackdown on illegal immigration and due process.
Are the fact that people who are our friends and our neighbors, people that service us every day in our community, the people who take our orders at fast food restaurants, the people who clean the hotels that the tourists stay in, the people that sell the goods that the tourists wish to purchase. The reason that people are here, the reason that Alaska is currently economically viable is because of these individuals that are our friends, they are our neighbors.
Cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, and the right to women's health care.
There's a real sense of community in Alaska, and we're here for each other, and we want to see the best outcomes. This new budget bill that's coming out, cuts to Medicaid, is going to have an extreme ripple effect within Alaska and having our communities deeply affected.
Some concerned with issues abroad and our national security.
We're all tired of the cronies being put in these positions of power. Hegseth, violating our rules of national security, text messages, signal chats for war plans, endangering our soldiers.
We have seen a variety of signs and posters expressing a variety of viewpoints in downtown Anchorage for the No Kings protests. All of them united here in solidarity of one another. For Alaska's news source, I'm Justin Mattson.
Protesters calling for change and speaking out against the president and many of his policies, including the ongoing immigration raids. Secretary for the Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, says they're cracking down to keep everyday Americans safe.
They are setting an example for what is happening across the country in other cities and putting together a model and a blueprint for how we can continue to work to make every single community great again and safe again for our kids and for our grandkids far into the future.
The Army keeps us free. You make us strong. And tonight, you have made all Americans very proud. Every other country celebrates their victories. It's about time America did too.
The massive demonstrations across the country coincided with a major parade held in Washington, D.C. for the Army's 250th anniversary. It was also President Donald Trump's birthday. Marching units, including soldiers in historic uniforms, paraded in front of a viewing stand filled with dignitaries, including the president and first lady. Some of the most iconic military vehicles of World War II, including Sherman tanks and B-25 bombers, were on display. The military parade is estimated to have cost about $134 million. Following the downtown Anchorage No Kings rally, the tone changed from frustration to celebration as many participants made their way over to the Delaney Park Strip to mark Juneteenth ahead of the holiday later this week. Olivia Nordyke takes us there.
I'm here in the Delaney Park Strip in downtown Anchorage, and we're going to head in and talk to some of Anchorage's Black community leaders to hear about how they're leading this celebration of emancipation. Dating back to 1865, Juneteenth commemorates the day a Union general read orders in Galveston, Texas, enforcing the Emancipation Proclamation be followed by the rebelling state, freeing the last groups of enslaved people. You'll notice lots of protest signs in the crowd. Many participants from the No Kings rally downtown joined in the celebration after their march. Organizer Aaron Jackson Hill tells me the celebration and march were set up to intersect with hopes of bringing people together.
These are two diverse groups of people, right? Usually it's progressive white people that come to the rally. I'll be very perfectly honest. And then you have Juneteenth, which is a celebration of Black culture. And we have been divided far too long in this country. So we wanted to bring the two groups together on a joyful, beautiful Alaskan day and say, let's learn about each other.
Celebrating freedom and Anchorage's Black community. For Alaska's news source, I'm Olivia Nordyke.
School districts across Alaska have big decisions ahead after the governor's nearly $51 million in vetoes to increased education funding. Many school leaders unsure of what's next. During a virtual news conference Friday, mayors from Anchorage, the Fairbanks North Star Borough, and the Kenai Peninsula Borough said they're worried the cuts for their local communities mean a range of things like lost jobs and even school closures. To make that point, Fairbanks Borough Mayor Grier Hopkins started the news conference outside of Fairbanks' Pearl Creek Elementary, a school that shut down back in February due to funding issues. The mayor is saying this goes beyond partisan politics.
And this year, our Borough Assembly and I increased education funding at the local level to record amounts by $4.7 million. And these cuts are going to result in an additional $2.5 million loss in revenue to our district. That's without any loss in enrollment. That's only his cut. That means our district has to go back and close more schools.
I'm kind of here representing conservative taxpayers that may believe that they want to see things go a certain way and base all education on some outcome objective, which I support. However, this is essentially a tax shift. It's the state not meeting a constitutional expectation, requirement, if you will. We're voluntarily increasing our funding to education, which is unsustainable on the local level.
Also discussed things like decreasing salaries and potential difficulty in hiring new teachers. The mayors urged lawmakers to go back and add to funding when the session begins in January, but that's 7 months away, and districts have to make decisions soon. Federal funding cuts are impacting a tribal library in southeast Alaska. The village of Klukwan has one library in its region. The small facility is housed inside of an elementary school, but it still serves all of the residents nearby with essential services like internet connections, printers, and learning opportunities. Now, federal funding cuts are causing the community institution to cut its hours.
We went from 2 staff people part-time. We were working, the library was open 35 hours a week. And now we're down to just myself at 4 hours a week.
Other programs that have been cut are community-focused events and their popular summer reading program. To learn more about how federal funding cuts are impacting libraries around the state, you can visit our website or mobile app. Now to an update on the massive Willow project slated for here in Alaska. The Associated Press reports a federal appeals court panel is refusing to vacate the approval of this oil project. This follows a March 2023 approval by then President Joe Biden's administration of the project being developed in the National Petroleum Reserve, Alaska. The majority determination is that overturning the project's approval would be unwarranted and its consequences severe. Coming up, it didn't stick around for long. Anchorage's mandatory ID check ordinance has already been repealed. Some are relieved, others are frustrated. We'll hear from local business owners and patrons when we come back.
Continuing to chase that warmth across the state, we've got some heat advisories to the north with some hazy skies across the rest of the state. I'll have a neural map, of course, at sunrise, 4:20 here in Anchorage, 3:51 in Juneau. Your full forecast is next.
It's been warming up across Alaska, but the real heat is in the interior. So much so that the National Weather Service issued the first ever heat advisory for Fairbanks. Now, heat of this extreme is not uncommon in the interior, but in order to better communicate the risks of heat, both NWS offices in Juneau and Fairbanks will begin to issue heat advisories this year. Now, heat is the #1 weather-related killer in the nation, and many buildings and homes in Fairbanks don't have air conditioning. The NWS is advising residents to take breaks and go somewhere that does have AC.
Dry fit kind of like towel or something that you can keep on the back of your neck or on your forehead if you're outside. And wearing a hat when you're outside, that way at least it covers your face. The sunscreen is good. Having access to the fans and AC is good.
Now, Santiago explained to Alaska's news source the 80-degree temperatures in Fairbanks are expected to last for about a week. That is pretty hot, Aaron. It's not the hottest Fairbanks has ever been, but that's pretty hot.
No, we see some of those years where temperatures easily warm into the 90s, but with those temperatures climbing into the 80s, it feels a lot hotter here in Alaska than it does in the lower 48. And the big reason why is not only because we have longer days, but our sun is lower in the atmosphere, so it's hitting more of our body, and we're actually absorbing more of that solar radiation. So it certainly does feel a lot hotter out there. And the overall forecast continues to favor warm conditions really through the interior out towards the slope. This is where we're also dealing with those flooding concerns as rapid snowmelt and those rivers through the slope continuing to thaw out as temperatures are climbing into the 40s and the 50s. Notice our ridge is beginning to shift. We're right here on the southern periphery of that ridge here in South Central. Notice we've got low pressure systems to our south, active weather still continuing out towards the Aleutians. This will actually keep areas out towards the Aleutians a bit on the cooler side the next couple of days. Not talking about any significant cool snap, but we are going to see temperatures about 5 degrees cooler than what we typically see for this time of year from the Alaska Peninsula out towards the Aleutians. So that ridge of high pressure still staying with us. It is somewhat beginning to weaken, and what that is going to lead to, notice the general flow is coming in out of the east. So not only is that pulling in some of those hazy skies and smoke from Canada, but that's also going to lead to some additional thunderstorm development later this afternoon into the evening. We'll also see a chance for some rain showers tomorrow morning across parts of South Central as that system out towards eastern parts of Prince William Sound shifts to the west. And with this uptick in thunderstorm activity that we are expected to see across the state, that also means our fire weather conditions and our red flag conditions certainly continuing to increase as well. So we will see that uptick in possible wildfire threats. chance. That temperature for Fairbanks the next couple of days, mid to upper 80s staying with us. Now the hotness of the heat does begin to lower by week's end. You can see as we welcome in the official start of summer, some isolated thunderstorms with a high sitting around 84 degrees. By next Sunday, we'll see those temperatures dipping back into the 70s. So warm weather really taking hold through the interior. You can see these peaks popping up. Again, this is where we're going to easily see those temperatures topping out in the mid to upper 80s. There's an outside chance today that we could see some locations of the interior topping out near 90 degrees, but I think most locations will stay in the mid to upper 80s. And you can see warmth across a good portion of the state for the rest of this week. Mid to upper 50s to start off the first half of your day across South Central, but we'll easily warm into the lower 60s later today. We will see some late day sunshine in the forecast. Once we begin to see that sun continuing to rise, it's going to melt away or burn away that cloud deck that we do have in place. But 50s and 60s look likely today across South Central. Light rain out towards Cordova. That rain will shift to the west overnight into tomorrow, bringing us some rain showers across the region. That's really our only best chance of seeing some rain this week outside of some thunderstorm activity. You can see temperatures through the valley likely making a run near 70 degrees. And again, we will see some late day sunshine in the forecast looking possible. 63 here in Anchorage, 61 degrees in Girdwood. While we do have those mid to upper 80s through the interior, we're still chasing our first 70-degree reading here in South Central, or at least for Anchorage. We have seen it occurring in the valley. You can see our first official day of summer, 67 degrees by Friday.
All right, thanks, Aaron. No more mandatory ID checks for alcohol purchases in bars and restaurants. The repeal comes only 3 months after the Anchorage Assembly created the ordinance that caused frustration for many patrons. Charlie Fellows reports.
Here at 49th State Brewing, just like all restaurants and bars in the city of Anchorage, opinions vary on the repeal of mandatory ID checks. Some local owners tell me they're glad it's gone.
Everybody that I've talked to are just really happy that it's gone away.
Darwin Bewer owns the bar Darwin's Theory. He claims the law was mostly just a nuisance.
The biggest problem with this was not just checking the ID. It's when you have somebody goes outside for a smoke or finish, talk on the phone, then they have to be checked again.
Elsewhere in town, however, opinions differ. Anchorage Assembly member Zach Johnson was one of 4 that voted against repealing the ordinance. He says it was just too soon to make a decision like this.
With only 2 months of it being in effect, there's no way for us to actually measure what the effects were one way or the other.
Jeff Clawater, a tourist from Illinois, has noticed the frequency of ID checks during his visit, but he doesn't mind.
It doesn't bother me much at all. I mean, it's kind of better safe than sorry.
You'll still have to show your ID at liquor stores, and some bars and restaurants might keep carding patrons anyway, depending on their own policies. I'm Charlie Fellows, Alaska's news source.